Hey, welcome to this week's English lesson. Now, in this lesson, I am going to give you a 7-day English study plan. Now, this plan is going to help you study consistently for a 7-day period. And you'll also improve your English fluency. Now, are you ready? Well then, I'm Teacher Tiffany. Let's jump right in. So, what is the goal of this study plan? The goal is for you to improve your use of English vocabulary, idioms, and expressions. But you will also improve your English fluency and learn more about American culture. So let's get started with day number 1. And the question is, what is the focus of day number 1? The focus is English vocabulary. You see, your goal for day number 1 is to master new English vocabulary words and use them in real life. You see, you must remember, this is the important point. You must remember to use the words at least once on this day. You know, many times as an English learner, you're intelligent. You learn so much, you put so much information into your brain and you retain the information, but it's hard to use it sometimes. And that's simply because you have not put it into practice immediately. So on this day, day number 1, you're going to learn new vocabulary words, but you must use them in real life on this day. So let me show you the steps for day number 1. The first step is to find 3 new English vocabulary words. Step number 2, write the definition of each vocabulary word. After you've written the definition, you're going to pick 3 example sentences for each vocabulary word and write them down. You want to make sure you have real examples so that you can be aware of how native English speakers use each word in real life. And finally, write your own example sentence for each vocabulary word. So again, you're focusing on 3 new vocabulary words, finding the meaning, example sentences, and then making your own sentence. This is how you study on day number 1. Now on day number 2, we have a different focus. You see, day number 2, the focus is going to be English expressions. Now, your goal is to master new English expressions and use them in real life. Again, you're seeing this point being emphasized. Using what you learn in real life. Remember to use these expressions at least one time today. The day that you're studying, on day 2, you need to use each expression at least one time. So what are the steps you need to follow in order to truly learn these words? So first, you're going to find 3 new English expressions. Step 2, write the definition down of the expression. Then you're going to pick 3 example sentences for each expression and write them down. You're seeing this pattern, right? And finally, write your own example sentence for each expression. Remember how important it is to find real example sentences, find out how native English speakers use the expression, all 3 expressions in real life, and then make your own sentence. Now, I want to show you this really quickly because this is actually something that I use in my plan. Again, you probably already have your copy. It's free. 365-day English study plan. This is a full year plan and it's free. The link is in the description. But I want to show you something really quickly because it shows you what I'm teaching you today. I'm actually looking at the plan right now and I'm going to go all the way down and we're going to look at day 29 in the plan because it's very similar to what I'm teaching you right now, this 7-day plan. Look at what happens on day 29. The focus is English vocabulary. Again, day number 1 for our 7-day plan is vocabulary. But look how it's set up. You have word number 1, then you have the meaning and 3 example sentences, and then your sentence. Again, in this plan as well, I emphasize how important it is to find the word, write the meaning, write 3 example sentences, and then write your own sentence. So I just wanted you to see what it looks like in an actual plan. So we have day number 1, vocabulary. Day number 2, great, expressions. Now on day number 3 of our 7-day plan, you are going to focus on English. See if you can guess. Good, English idioms. Again, during this 7-day period, each day has a different focus because by the end of this 7-day period, your English fluency will have improved. If you've studied and followed the plan, you'll realize, wait a minute, I can use new words, new expressions, new idioms, and so much more. So you're going to master new English idioms and use them in real life. And you need to remember to use them on this day, day number 3. So let's look at these steps in order to learn the English idioms. Step 1, find 3 new English idioms. And I want to pause really quickly because you'll notice I use the number 3 a lot, and that's because it's an excellent number for your brain to be able to learn, grasp, and then use what it's learning. If you learn 100 words in one day, 100 idioms, yes, you may learn them, but it's almost impossible to use those 100 idioms the same day. But 3 is like a magical number. You learn them, you practice, and you use them immediately on the same day. So 3 is a great number. Now, step number 2, write the definition of each idiom. Then, step number 3, pick 3 example sentences. You see that number 3 again, right? And finally, write your own example sentence for each idiom. So again, day 1, day 2, and day 3, we're focusing on vocabulary, expressions, and idioms. You're building up your word bank. You're building up your expression bank and your idiom bank so that when you start speaking, there are so many natural words and expressions you can use to sound more natural. Now, what about day number 4? Now, day number 4, you're going to focus on English phrasal verbs. Again, the first part of the 7-day period, you need to put lots of information in. Lots of information that we use as native English speakers. And you're going to try to use these phrasal verbs in real life. And remember to use them at least once on this day, day number 4. Now again, step number 1, find 3. You see that number? 3 new English phrasal verbs. Don't forget, day 1 is what? Excellent. Vocabulary. Day 2, excellent. Expressions. Day 3, idioms. Very good. And day number 4, we are focusing on English phrasal verbs. Next, you're going to write the definition of each phrasal verb. Remember, you can find these phrasal verbs online. You can find them in a book. You want to find 3 that you don't know already. Then you're going to pick example sentences for each phrasal verb and write them down. And finally, you're going to write your own example sentence for each phrasal verb. And again, I want to remind you, when you are setting this up, when you are studying these phrasal verbs, you want to make sure that your notebook is set up similar to this. You have this section right here. Write the phrasal verb right here. Then you have the meaning. Then you have the sentences that you're finding online or in a dictionary. And then you have your very own sentence. This is important. As you're studying during this 7-day period, make sure you organize your notes. Now let's move on to day number 5. Day number 5. Now your focus for day number 5 is going to be English sentence creation and fluency. I'm going to pause. You see what happened, right? The first 4 days, you're putting in new information. You have new words, new expressions, new idioms, new phrasal verbs. And then on day 5, you need to start creating sentences. Listen, I love this plan. This simple 7-day plan will take your English so far. You'll go faster. You'll speak English fluently as you continue to follow these plans that I give you. So again, this 7-day plan, now that we're on day 5, now it's the sentence creation and fluency. So your goal is to improve your ability to think creatively in English. So what you're going to need to remember is you have to select images that are interesting to you. Now don't worry, I'm going to explain this. Let me show you. Let me explain it to you. So here are the steps you need to follow. Step number 1, you're going to find 5 interesting images. Now, you can choose images that look interesting to you. It's totally up to you. Whichever image you like, pick an image that is interesting to you. And what you're going to do is you're going to find or create 5 descriptive sentences for each image. Remember, your goal is to describe the images you find. Again, creative thinking on day number 5. You're going to then write them down in your journal. And finally, you're going to try to memorize each sentence and repeat them as you look at the individual images. Now, I'm going to show you some photos, and I want to show you how you're going to do this as you practice on day 5. So let me share my screen with you right now. Here we go. So look at this image I have on my screen right now. Let's say this is the image I chose because I like technology and I see someone using a computer. So I have to make a sentence to describe this image. So I can say, the woman is eating some grapes and also some olives. Or I can say the woman is working hard on her computer. Or I can say the woman is wearing an amazing sweater. You see what's happening, right? I'm describing the picture, and that's the focus on day number 5. Again, following these steps, your goal is to describe the image. Now, let me show you again what it looks like inside of my journal. So right here, I have, again, English sentence creation and fluency. But notice how I've broken it down. I'm picking 5 images, and then what I'm doing is right here, writing 5 descriptive sentences in my journal. And I want you to do the exact same thing. So day number 5 is starting to create sentences. You're starting to put into practice what you've been learning. But what about day number 6? So day number 1, vocabulary. Day number 2, expressions. Number 3, idioms. Number 4, English phrasal verbs. And number 5, thinking creatively, making new sentences. Now on day number 6, you're going to have a different focus. On day number 6, you're going to focus on American culture. Listen, this 7-day plan is a holistic plan. You're not just focusing on one thing. Remember, in order to speak English fluently, you must study many different things, but all connected to English. All right, so today your goal is to learn more about American culture, which will help you understand native English speakers more. Now, you must remember to take notes on the new things that you learn. This is so important. So, what are the steps? Here we go. Step number 1, find a video about a popular location in America, somewhere that maybe Americans really love going on a regular basis. Find a video about that place. You can go on YouTube and find free videos to find out, hey, this is a location that Americans really enjoy going to. Step number 2, you're going to write notes related to how the location shows American culture. This is very important. Think about this. There's a very popular location in Washington, D.C., the Washington Monument. People love to go there. They love to sightsee, but even Americans go there on a regular basis. Why is it so important to American culture? Watch a video about a topic like this. This is what the focus is going to be on day number 6. So what's going to happen is you're going to start relaxing toward the end of the week. You've put a lot of information in for the first part. Then you've been creative. And now you're learning more in a relaxed way. Hey, let me learn some more about American culture, which will improve your English fluency. Now we get to day number 7. And day number 7 is also a very important day because it's the day you will review. You see, on this day, you will focus on simply reviewing. The purpose of this day is for you to allow your brain an opportunity to process what you learned. This is an important part of the study plan. You can't just study every single day without giving your brain an opportunity to soak up what you've learned, without giving your brain an opportunity to review. And reviewing is also studying, but it's in a different way. You're not putting more in, You're reviewing what's already inside. And that's why day number 7 is so important. Now, I really hope this 7-day study plan helps you. Remember, if you want my full plan for an entire year, 365-day English study plan, all you have to do is hit the link right in the description. This plan will help you be fluent in a year, and it's totally free. All right, I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. I will talk to you next time. You still there? You know what time it is. It's story time. Hey, I said it's story time. All right. So today's story is actually about my dad. So we talked about in our lesson, we talked about the 7-day English study plan, right? And you know how much I truly love creating plans for you. Well, that actually came from my dad. My dad is a planner. I remember growing up, my dad held a lot of positions at my church. And one of the positions he held was as the men's director. And my dad would organize, every year he'd organize a retreat for the men of the church. Now, these retreats were not small. My dad would plan activities. He'd plan for people to come and speak to the men. He'd have all the food arranged, all the transportation. My dad is very organized. But I remember he always had a plan. He would always be writing things down. He made sure every I was dotted and every T was crossed. So I got that skill from my dad. Now, this is a skill that has helped me a lot in my life, but I remember one special type of plan my dad would write. He would have a plan when he left the house and had to buy something. And I said my dad would always write things down. So I remember when I figured this out. Now, my dad sometimes would be tasked with going to the store to buy the food for the month. My mom would say, honey, I have to work today. She had to work on the weekends sometimes because she worked at the hospital. And when that happened, she'd say, honey, I need you to get the food for the week or for the month. I said, okay, baby, no problem. And I remember my dad would always have a plan for when he left, what stores he was going to go to, and he'd write out his plan on a piece of paper. And on that plan would also be all the food he was going to purchase. Now, my dad does not steer away from a plan. If it's on his list, if he's made a plan, he's going to do it. He's going to accomplish what's on that paper. And I learned at a very young age, when I wanted something, it would not get purchased if it wasn't on my dad's list, if he didn't have a plan for it. So I said, you know what? Instead of me asking, why don't I just write it down myself? Because I knew my dad is very methodical. Everything goes to a certain plan, a list, and everything is very organized. I said, okay. So I remember my dad, he had his little paper with his list and his plan for the day. He said, all right, baby girl, I'm about to head out. I said, okay, daddy. He said, I'm going to use the bathroom really quickly. I said, no worries, no worries. And he put his plan, his little plan with his list and everything, on the table in our kitchen next to the door. So I watched him walk to the bathroom. I proceeded to pick up my pen, I turned the page of his plan, and I saw where he had the food list. And I said, ice cream? And I even put the type that I wanted right next to it. Then I wrote the next thing. All right, let me get some of these. And I wrote it on the list, and I put my pen down. And I sat down like nothing happened as my dad walked out the bathroom and said, okay, baby girl, picked up his plan. He does not go without a plan or a list. And he walked out the door. 2 hours later, my dad arrived home with bags of food. And he's unpacking the bags. And I see him pick up a specific bag, and he walked over to our refrigerator. One side was a freezer, and one side was a refrigerator. And he opened the freezer, stuck his hand in the bag, and do you know what he pulled out? He pulled out my ice cream. And he put it in the freezer as if nothing had happened. He didn't ask who wrote it on the list. He didn't ask how it got on there, because as long as it was on the list, it got purchased. And from that day on, I knew if I wanted something, just write it on his list. Now, I'm a full grown woman right now, but I still do that. If I'm at my parents' home visiting them and my dad is going somewhere, I'll just write it on the list. and I'll get what I want. So again, plans are very helpful. They help you get what you need to get done. But I hope you enjoyed today's story. Maybe you have one of these funny stories with your dad as well. Again, don't forget to pick up your plan. It's totally for free. 365-day English study plan. The link is in the description. And I will talk to you all next time. Have an awesome day, an awesome week, and an awesome life.